Mishra ji, chairing the session, Shri Das Saab, who has made such a wonderful introduction in memory of Shri Buch, Shri Nandi ji, for inviting me over. It is a matter of great honor for me to be the speaker at the 10th anniversary of Shri Buch. He was a distinguished urban planner, and he has been an architect of modern Bhopal. He was a visionary, he was a great urban planner. And I would like to thank all the distinguished bureaucrats, planners, and other members of the audience who have taken time away from their important family get-togethers at Dashera time to be here. And I see a vast range of age groups. I have the youngest speaker sitting in the corner. Beta, aage aa jao, piche kyun baithe ho? Huh? Please introduce yourself. It's nice to have a very young participant here. And I'm so happy to know that they are the architects of tomorrow. If they grasp the concept, they can push everybody else to do something fruitful. So, Shri Buch was a great urban planner. Unfortunately, many of our urban centers are now getting flooded, which theoretically should not happen if the proper planning measures had been taken. So in the next 40 minutes, I'll take you through the main concepts, applications, successful solutions, and the way forward. So we have been looking at this topic for the past 25 years. So we are all here in Bhopal. So I have been looking at the numbers for Bhopal. The average rainfall is around, for each of the months are given in this table: June 132, July 367, August 326, September 175. Now many of our cities are receiving the monthly rainfall in a day. This is a snapshot from 30th July this year. The rainfall of Guna is given as 328 millimeters in 24 hours. Bhopal, the numbers I could not locate. Maybe somebody in the audience knows the figures. But, and this is, Now, in addition to that, not only is the daily rainfall, monthly rainfall occurring in a day, the daily rainfall is occurring in an hour. So these are the numbers for this season. Starting from 26th May, Mumbai, we had 104 millimeters in 1 hour. Unheard of. Imagine 100 millimeters in 1 hour. And similarly, the trends I have tabulated in declaration of Mumbai, Trivandrum, Kolkata, Mumbai, Gurgaon. Gurgaon is a story by itself. We can discuss it for another hour. Delhi, Ahmedabad, Udhampur Air Force Base with 540 millimeters in 12 hours. Jammu City 310, Patna 110, Bangalore 130 millimeters. Then the 24-hour values: Dadar 332 millimeters, Mumbai, Nagpur, Dehradun 200 millimeters. We have all seen flashes of Dehradun flooding over TV. Hyderabad 115 millimeters. Last week again it got flooded because of the opening of the gates. Guwahati gets flooded every year. Then other cities, Varanasi, Chandigarh, the list is endless. And internationally, Hong Kong got 350 millimeters. The highest since records began. Sydney got 122 millimeters, highest since 1879. So this is a global trend that we are witnessing: increased rainfall intensities, increased heating caused by increased heating, and the Intergovernmental Panel of Climate Change. I've been a member of 2 of the subcommittees, and this has been documented very well with studies from all over the world. We will see heavy precipitation. It will become more frequent and more intense than the recent past. And the numbers that we have seen this year are clear proof of that this is actually now a reality. Human influence, we are having more and more heating. The global temperature is rising. Delhi had 50 degrees centigrade on 29th May 2024. So we have all made tea at home. The more the heat, the more the evaporation. And obviously that will cause more rainfall. So this is a schematic of the effect of urbanization. On the left you see the surfaces before development, nice green surfaces, water could infiltrate into the soil beneath and water could flow freely on the surface. But due to urbanization, what you see on the right, we have paved all the surfaces with roads, buildings and other concrete structures. So the amount of infiltration has decreased drastically, creating a water crisis in the summer. And we have enclosed the drainage channels, we have reduced, we have occupied the flood banks of the rivers. Thus, the path available for the water has decreased. And in the bottom, you can see the hydrograph, those people who are present. It simply shows the time on the bottom and the discharge on the vertical axis. So the bottom graph, which is a lower one, the mouse there, yeah. So this line here, this shows the graph, the value of the discharge. Let us say it was 10 units here. So before urbanization, I had 10 units in 45 minutes. But due to urbanization, the water is not able to infiltrate, it overflows. So we have higher peaks. So the peaks have now increased to 60 to 100. If you take 10 as the base value, it has become 6 to 10 times of the pre-development values. And the time to peak, earlier it went slowly over the grass path. Now because we have paved it, the floor is now smooth, water flows faster. So the flooding happens quicker, flooding happens higher due to urbanization. So what is our effort? We would like to bring this peak from 100 to obviously 10. That may not be possible, but we would like to bring it back to as much as possible and spread it out. So the measures that we see, here, in the next couple of minutes, we'll see what are the measures that we can implement and what are the successful measures that have been implemented. Another phenomena which has gained prominence and another cause of urban flooding is the urban heat island effect. So what is happening before urbanization? We had green areas. We have all read that the trees increase rainfall. Unfortunately, we have been cutting down the trees and building more and more cement concrete structures. On a hot summer day, if you have stepped outside on the lawn, it's nice and cool. But when you step on the paved surface, footpath, car park, we burn off heat. So the amount of heat that is being generated because of radiation from concrete, number one. Number two, 30 years back, none of the cars had air conditioned. We all had open windows. Increasing use of air conditioners. We are cooling the surroundings, so we are throwing the heat out. Large amount of heat is now being liberated from every car, every house has air conditioners. Even slums in Mumbai have air conditioners. They have air conditioners before I personally had one. So we are now liberating more and more heat, more and more water vapor from the air conditioners, industrial activities. So with the net result that we have an urban heat island, we have a heat area over the urban city. And NASA has documented from these studies that once the heat, so whatever cloud was passing before development, now because of the heat, the cloud is taken up, convective rainfall. We have studied now 6th class. So the clouds go up and cause rainfall in and around the cities. So this has been documented by NASA. These are images from NASA. And this is another contributory factor for the increasing rainfall in and around urban cities. And there are a lot of studies on urban heat islands, Pune, Chennai, other cities. They have all been published and documented. Now we have all access to Google. If you type any of the keywords, you'll find hundreds of examples. And now with this AI and ChatGPT, it will give you a brief summary also. So please key in any word when you are getting bored or you can't sleep in the night. So coming to the problem, we have in the top, you see this is an existing drainage system which may be 30-40 years back. Now because of urbanization, we have and occupation in the low-lying areas. We have flooding in the low-lying areas. Everybody says, okay, there is flooding, let us widen the drain, let us deepen the drain, let us put pumps. Very nice. Where is the space? Urbanization, population densities have decreased the space available for developments. So the provision of an alternate bigger larger pipe is very difficult. In Bombay, we had proposed on one of the areas. So there was a flyover construction proposed. Lata Mangeshkar said, if you make this flyover, I will go to Dubai. So our luminaries are not allowing development to take place, solve the urban problems. So then what is the alternative? We look at non-structural measures and structural measures. Non-structural measures are without constructing anything. They are very limited, but they still exist. So some of the non-structural measures are using sensors for rainfall, measuring water levels, have flow measurements, and trickle alarms for the threshold values which lead to flooding in any particular city. For Mumbai, we have set it at 40 millimeters per hour. Delhi, it is lesser, 20 millimeters per hour. And each city, the local authorities know what is the threshold rainfall which causes flooding. So this system, when we first proposed this in 2000, everybody said, where has it been done before? In India, it had not been done before. At that time, IMD had manual rainfall gauges. Somebody used to go up to the roof, empty the water in a beaker, measure the rainfall, and tell after 2 hours that in the past 24 hours we had so many millimeters of rainfall. Now with automation, we have so much automation, you can see anything, any information on your mobile immediately. So let us have a look at the Mumbai rain gauge network. So in 2005, Mumbai had a great flood. We had 944 millimeters of rainfall in 1 hour, or 24 hours. That is 1 meter of rainfall in 24 hours. And at that time, IMD had no knowledge that this rainfall was happening, because they used to measure the rainfall only at 8:30 in the morning and 5:30 in the evening. So the following year, we proposed, and I have been on top of each of the 5 stations where we installed the automatic weather stations. At that time, the internet connectivity for the municipal corporation was just coming. And so we trained each of the staff at each of the 5 stations how to read the rain gauge, how to interpret the alarm, and at that time the communication was through wireless and landline phones. Subsequently, internet came, connectivity was improved. Now this data is available to anybody who wants to see it. There is an app also. So anywhere, sitting anywhere in the world, I can see what is the rainfall in Mumbai at this moment. So now when we first installed the automatic weather stations, IMD said, we are the only authorized body to put weather stations. We are only authorized to measure rainfall. What Kapil Gupta is doing is illegal. Please put them down, take them off. Now, after 25 years, IMD is using this as the primary source of the data. And the network has been set. Now it is operated by Indian Institute of Tropical Meteorology, IMD and Municipal Corporation of Greater Mumbai. The data is available on this website, and there is also a disaster management app, and you can see the data online. What does this data look like? This is like this. So this is the map of Mumbai, and each of these colors denote the amount of rainfall. These are the values. I'm sorry you can't read them. So this is blue is low rainfall and red is high rainfall. And for each of the stations, we have said what is the rainfall happening every 15 minutes, every hour, every 3 hours, every 24 hours. So now this data is available for all the 139 stations in Mumbai to anybody who wants to see it. So this information system, what is the output? Number one, if the rainfall is heavy, people themselves can decide whether you want to go to school, office or not. So let the individual decide. Why should we wait for an order from the government that shut down the schools, shut down the offices? This is number one. Then subsequently I'll show you the other outputs from this data. So we collected all this data, and we had one PhD student analyzing this data, and based on this data we created a model which took 3 years, trial and error. At the end of the day, the model says that from this data I can predict what is going to be the 15-minute ahead rainfall. And since the rainfall at one point, it takes another 15 minutes to reach the low-lying area, so I have a 30-minute ahead information that, look, it is going to flood. So in 2014, we actually implemented it and we were able to evacuate the low-lying area people in time from the flood. Of course, as you are all administrators, you know, great amount of coordination was required between the fire personnel, police and local NGOs and so on. But it is doable, it has been done. So this is one of the non-structural measures which has been successfully implemented in Mumbai. Now other cities are also following suit. Hyderabad has now got about 168 automatic weather stations. Bangalore, they have got the Natural Science Council for entire Karnataka. They have installed automatic weather stations. Chennai, we are pushing them. Guwahati, we got them to install 18 automatic weather stations. So, and Delhi also, they have got 7 at the moment. They are targeted to put more. Another important thing is the weather radars. So we have C-band weather radars which can see rainfall for 250 kilometers away, and the X-band Doppler weather radar with which you can see 50 kilometers ahead. So those of you who have been abroad to UK, they say, oh, they are telling in 15 minutes it is going to rain, it actually rains. That is because they are monitoring the rainfall on the X-band Doppler radar. So in Bombay, we have installed 4 X-band Doppler radars just last year, and it is definitely helping in forecasting the movement of the rainfall path and issuing alerts. But having issued the alerts, it is like saying, Milli Ai Bhabo, what next? Simply giving the alert, having created a mess, is that the only solution? So let us now look at the structural measures which can be implemented within the conditions that there is no extra space available. So these are known as sustainable urban drainage systems in Europe. In America, they are known as best management practices. China calls it spun cities. Australia, they call it water sensitive urban design. In India, I have simply suggested, call it jugaad. So what are the appropriate engineering devices implemented to control or delay the stormwater runoff? And then now we are talking of smart technologies, artificial intelligence, SCADA systems. So the automation, with the help of faster computers, we are able to do things better, faster. I don't know whether they are better, but we are able to process the information faster. For those who have a mobile, the power of the computer that first sent the man to the moon was less than this mobile, but we did it. We have so much power with us, but are we able to use it properly instead of watching TikTok videos? So let us look at each of these measures. We have local disposal, inlet control, on-site detention, inline detention, offline detention, detention at wastewater treatment plant. So let us go through one of them one by one. So before we look at that, let me present a simple example. So we have all seen outside, let us say we have one big drain coming here. This is carrying 30 units of flow. We have another big drain coming here, 30 units of flow. So when they both meet at the next point, obviously they will carry 60 units of flow, 30 plus 30. But unfortunately, the downstream pipe has a capacity of only 30 units. So what happens? 60 minus 30 will overflow here and cause the flooding here. So what is the way out? Somehow I should ensure that this 30 units does not overflow. Here also 30 units come. So I have to store 15 units. Let us say, just for sake of discussions, we say equal distribution on either side. So I have to store 15 units here, store 15 units here, and release it after the rain stops. It is just like crowd control at many of the temples. We ask people to wait outside, or the waiting room at Matrale, where we have people waiting in various sections. So we do the same to water. Ask the water to wait outside till the capacity is available and the downstream till the rain stops. So if I am able to store the water at these locations, obviously they have to be upstream before the low-lying area. They have to be upstream of the low-lying area. And once I do that, obviously there will be no flooding. So this is the basic concept. Store the water before it reaches the low-lying area. And what are the techniques to do it? So this is the Kirigaoka regulating pond in Japan. This is in Yokohama, just away from Tokyo. So in normal times, this is a low-lying area adjoining the river here. Low-lying area, this is the floodplain of the river, and you have tennis courts, play tennis where it's not raining. There are about 10 such courts, so you have approximately 2600 square meters of area available. And look at the steps here, there are about 26 steps here. This is the clubhouse. So when it rains, the whole thing converts to a storage basin. So if out of 365 days, 5 days the tennis court is not available, in any case you will not be able to play tennis when it's raining. But this has caused the reduction of flooding in other low-lying areas. So the basic concept is use all these playgrounds as storage basins during times of heavy rainfall, convert the low-lying areas into parks, and use the upstream areas, uphill areas as safe areas. Similarly in Hong Kong, many of you have been to Hong Kong would have seen that it's just all multi-story buildings and roads, concrete, no area available anywhere. So there they figured out that if they were going to increase the size of the drains, they will have to dig up the roads, cause a lot of inconvenience. Whole process would have taken 7 years, 10 years. And it was not feasible. So they looked at the next possible solution. There is a huge football field. They dug up the entire football field, constructed a huge underground detention. You can see the height of the pond. It is around 9 to 11 meters. These are the people here. This has a capacity of 100,000 cubic meters. So they store the water there when it rains heavily and release it gradually depending on the reception capacity of the receiving waters. So this is a simple concept. Make the water wait in a underground waiting room. The technology is there. We have brilliant engineers who have constructed underground parks, underground car parks for many of the multi-story buildings. So we are just requesting that please construct an underground holding pond for the water. We have already destroyed or occupied the ponds and other water bodies. We have built over them. So we have to create alternate space for the water so that it does not cause flood or damages to the people and the businesses in the low-lying areas. So in Mumbai, we have been able to convince the municipal corporation. We have been chasing them for past 20 years, but now it is a reality. Milan subway, those of you have been to Mumbai, it was a chronic flooding spot, and every year water used to accumulate there. So now underground holding tank has been constructed to temporarily store the water, and because of area limitations, it can store only 30,000 cubic meters, which is approximately for 50 millimeters per hour rainfall, and it has been constructed cost of 41 crores. And pumps are there. So basically, sump and pump. That is the basic concept, and pump it out. And the Bombay, the coastal cities have another challenge is that of the high tide and low tide. The water cannot go out during high tide. So we have calculated the water has to be stored for 6 hours based on the tidal cycle. This is the picture of the holding pond under construction. Subsequently, it was covered up. So this gives you an idea of the size of the structure. And another location at Hindmata was also a chronic flooding spot. So there also underground tank has been constructed. Again, that is debated. Now this year, the proposal is there to construct 3 more holding ponds in upstream areas. We have identified 3 more parks. So that would take the holding capacity to take up to 100 millimeters per hour of rainfall in these low-lying areas. Then now many times there is no area available near and around the river. So this is an inline storage. This is the Miti river. It is around 35 meters wide, and a 6 meter high flood wall was constructed after the 2005 floods. One of the commissioners who had been to China, he called it the Great Wall of Miti. And so here we had designed this particular orifice come here. So unfortunately, many of our drains are carrying raw sewage because we still do not have a complete sewer system developed. So raw sewage from the slums comes into this. During dry weather, during summer months, it goes from under the orifices here or the openings. And when it rains heavily during the monsoon, this functions as a mini dam, and this stores around 3000 cubic meters of water, provides a delay of 10 minutes to the water reaching downstream. So what we have done is we have stored the water upstream of the flooding areas. We have reduced the time. We have got 10 minutes extra more at the downstream because the time for this water to fill up is about 10 minutes, and it is extra cushion for the people on the downstream to be alerted and move away. Again, this year also we had heavy rainfall, so they were evacuated from the premises. Now this is the Mumbai airport. Before the 2005 floods, we had only 3 tunnels under the airport runway. This is 27 meters wide, 9 meters each. And this was the main cause of the flooding in Mumbai. All the water came here and it backed up in the upstream areas. And airport itself was flooded. It was down for 48 hours. No flights could come or take off from Mumbai. And in my opinion, airports are the most critical infrastructure. When your rails are washed away, roads, bridges are washed away, what is the way to reach the city to rush the supplies? In Chennai, when the floods happened, Chennai airport was flooded. So the NDRF had to land 60 kilometers away at an army base, and drive 60 kilometers to reach the spot. So if our main airport itself is flooded, how do we send the rescue forces? So Mumbai airport, the rainfall there, it was 944 millimeters in 24 hours. So this we have designed for 120 millimeters per hour for 3 hours. So even if it rains 360 millimeters in 3 hours, Mumbai airport will not flood. And after it has been constructed, despite all the rainfall numbers that I have shown for Mumbai, the airport was functional. It did not get flooded at all due to the material. Flights were not disrupted because of flooding of the airport. There were no floods at the airport. Weather conditions and winds, that is a aviation issue, but the airport itself has not got flooded so far. And this report is available on the website. The full details are there if you are interested. Then after this 2005 floods, it was decided at the highest level that we should have a disaster management master plan for Mumbai. So not only floods, it covered earthquakes, oil spills, oil fires, at the fire at the oil refinery. Some years back there was a big fire at Jaipur oil refinery next to the airport, if you remember. And it took out 3 days. It took 3 days just to let it blow. There is no other solution. If there's a fire in an oil refinery, global incidences say that you just have to wait for it to burn out. There is no chemical which can put out an oil fire. So we also took into account oil fires. Then terrorism was a different issue, but it was taken into consideration. I did the flood aspect, so I will focus on give you the highlights of what we did for the flood, disaster risk management master plan. So the real-time flood alert system I have already told you. We also carried out a flood risk assessment for the master plan. The decision support system I have told you, it is linked to the real-time system, and the airport culvert which I have just showed you. So coming to the disaster risk management master plan, the rapid flood risk assessment says, okay, what will be the flooding if you have 50 millimeters in 1 hour? What will be the flooding if you have 100 millimeters per hour? So which are the vulnerable spots? So this is a methodology. So we have data is available. This is the shuttle radar topography mission. All the data is available from this website. So we generated the contours. First of all, if you want to know, water will always flow from higher level to a lower level. So we have to know what are the levels of the ground. So contours have to be done. Then you have to identify the catchments, and then look at the rainfall, calculate the volume, see what is the flood spread. So overall, this is a methodology. And the most important thing is what is the population affected in each of the wards. That will help us plan better. So what we did, for each of the wards, we calculated what is the flood spread for 50 millimeters per hour rainfall, what is the flood spread for 100 millimeters per hour based on the data which was available in the municipal corporation. So for practical applications, these are the various wards. Wards there are A, B, C, D here, and H north, H south, H west, H east. So these are the different wards, and you can see the flood spread in square kilometers. So this basically shows what is the flood extent in each of the wards in square kilometers. But this shows the extent of floods in each of the wards. But for planning purposes, for evacuation purposes, it is the population affected which is more important. So we see that when we look at the population affected is different from the area flooded. So we find that because of population increases, HE, where H east is having the most number of people vulnerable to flooding. Next is N. So this enables the municipal corporation to now redeploy the fire and rescue staff to these two critical wards. Earlier it was all wards have equal firemen posted during the monsoon. Now we are able to plan, look, so each ward, so now HE is the most affected ward, the number of people affected will be most, so that is where we have to deploy our fire personnel, hospital personnel to rescue the people and so on and so forth. So this is how this exercise helped in planning measures ahead and redeploying the. Now of course at the latest status, each ward now has a emergency control center. Earlier we had one central one at Mumbai municipal headquarters. Now each ward has a sub control center having all the data on the computer. They have all information. Communication is very easy now. We have WhatsApp, we have mobile phones. Still as a backup they are still holding on to the wireless system in case you have an internet crash or hacking of internet and downing of the services. Then the next measure is providing green roof. There's a lot of talk of green roofs. So this picture shows that this is on the 14th floor of a building. So when I construct a building, I am paving the surface. I am knocking out the soil and paving the surface so the water will not be infiltrated. So the idea here is that whatever soil I am removing from the ground level, I provide the same layer of soil infiltration on top of the roof. So this garden soil surface is on the top of the roof. So as far as the ground below is concerned, when the building is there, same amount of infiltration is happening from the top of the building. So the water is still being received by the ground despite the building being there. So this second figure will give you a more picture. So once I have this rooftop garden, I take the water from around the building and take it through drains and let it continue. So once we have this rooftop garden, the ground below will not know that there is a building, and we are therefore maintaining the same amount of infiltration that was happening before the construction of the building. Then infiltration trenches, if you key in any of these words, you will find various configurations, and the local engineer can determine which is the best combination for the type of soil in this particular area. Soil varies from area to area. Then there is a lot of talk of porous pavements. If you look at the Chinese spun city concept, they talk of all this. Unfortunately, the spun city concept has been a failure in China. Beijing receives about 600 millimeters rainfall per year. But this time they got 550 millimeters in one day. So all their spun cities, they are applicable only if you have slow rainfall, maybe 10 millimeters per day or 20 millimeters per day. They don't work when you have heavy rainfall, especially the type we have in India during the monsoons. Porous pavement has been suggested. This is the definition by the American Society for Testing in Materials. Porous pavement is simply one which is porous. It has permeability, it allows the water to flow through and continue to have the groundwater discharge taking place. In Bombay, we find that during the monsoons, many of the roofs are leaking of the houses and buildings, but because they have built all these concrete paver blocks pavements, roads are impervious. So we request the contractors that please make the roofs impervious and the pavement leaking. Now sadly, they still continue to make more and more impervious paver blocks because they are high density and they have obviously got more profits in selling more cement and more paver. But from an academic perspective, porous pavements, you have asphalt or concrete pavements lacking final agreement. So every time they steal material, we ask them, please steal the final sand particles from the paver blocks. Please do not mix fine particles in the paver so that water can infiltrate. If you remember 30 years back, we had brick footpaths. Bricks were porous, water could infiltrate through it. It was win-win for everybody. For some reason, the bricks have been discontinued and we have now these concrete paver blocks which are very impervious and they are bad for knees in our old age. It has been proved medically that hard surfaces are not good for our feet. So this is how the paver blocks will look. So we have hollow paver blocks. They allow the grass to grow. They provide a steady surface for the car park. So this is what we have been trying to suggest and implement. Unfortunately, the contractors are winning. We are fighting a losing battle. Similarly, many of the trees, we have all seen trees along the footpaths, they have been brutally choked with cement. But nature is strong. After 5 years, find that the tree has grown and the concrete has cracked. Even in Bombay, even in London, the same thing is happening. Around footpaths, they put bitumen, but the trees grow and the bitumen cracks. So subsequently, they have designed that we will put wooden chips around it so that water can infiltrate. So this has been now tried out in parks and other places abroad. I don't know, I have not come across any case study here, but this is the way out. Solutions are there, they have to be implemented. Then there has been a lot of talk of rainwater harvesting. People say we will do rainwater harvesting. But when we look at our houses, unfortunately, they have not been designed to hold rainwater. We can put tanks on top of the buildings. But the roof itself, in Bombay, unfortunately, every year we have roof collapses because the roofs were not designed to hold rainwater. Roofs have collapsed because of overburden. In Ahmedabad earthquake, one of the buildings collapsed because one of the contractors living on the top floor, he constructed a swimming pool on top of the building. So when the earthquake came, if the swimming pool had not been there, only the building would have stuck. But because the water was there, water moved back and forth and it has a pushing effect and building toppled over. So only one tower collapsed. So this concept of putting swimming pool on the top of buildings, which some of the hotels are doing in many of the cities, and now even apartments are doing. This is not safe at all. And we have all seen the video of the Bangkok. Many of you may have seen when the earthquake came in Bangkok, water was toppling over the buildings. So we are pumping water to the 30th, 40th, 50th floor. How much pumping energy we are wasting? Just because 10 people want to swim on the 31st floor. So these are some of the, I mean, it defies all common sense, that is all I can say. So coming back to roof water harvesting, the main challenge here is many of our houses, many of our people, they don't have a roof, number one. Those who have a roof, will the roof be able to support the load? We are lucky if we can put an overhead tank for our daily water requirements. So it is a good concept to talk of. But we have done the calculations. We have done the calculations for our IIT Bombay hostel. The roof water, our rainfall index is so high. It rains so much in 1 day and 1 month. No size of roof can hold the water to last for this thing, for the entire season. Best solution is recharge of groundwater, which we used to do. The traditional practices that we have. Underground, it is a good concept, but if you look at the costs, where is the space even to provide underground storage? So it is lot of books, lot of papers, lot of conferences, workshops are being held. But for flood control, it is not the solution. It will not work. In UK, one of the professors actually carried out a study. He took about 15 houses. He put different sizes of polymer tanks, 100 liters, 200, 500,000. So for the amount of rainfall that we get in UK, London has got 6 millimeters per day rainfall. Very less. And unfortunately, our cities, Bombay especially, was planned by the British. And they had no idea of the intensity of monsoon rainfall when they came 150 years back. They just multiplied London's rainfall by 4, which is 25 millimeters. It is still too less. So the solutions that the Europeans have, their rainfall patterns are, it rains throughout the year there. They have rainfall 9 months and maybe 3 months of sunshine. With us it is the reverse. We go out on a picnic when it rains. They go out on a picnic when the sun is shining. So these solutions, they are proposed, but we have to see the rainfall pattern. Everybody says Singapore, it is controlled. Singapore also gets 2300 millimeters. But if you look at the rainfall pattern of Singapore, they get 250 millimeters every month throughout the year. We get the same rainfall just in 3 months. So solutions in Singapore are not applicable to our cities. This raises we had an interesting study for Delhi. So they had a World Bank consultant. He proposed the Delhi sewer master plan. And we went through it. And they said, okay, the sewage water should be taken out to sea. We said, look, Delhi is 900 kilometers from the sea. How would you do it? Then later on it emerged that this was a plan for one of the island cities like Singapore. They replaced Singapore with Delhi. So we were just discussing before the session that the international consultants, they have no idea for local conditions. Just because they have done a fantastic project in Singapore or Tokyo or Europe, does not mean it will work here. One size shoe or one size sock will not fit everyone. My left foot is larger than my right foot. Those of the old generation, they have seen the Ajit films, size 9 and size 10 shoe. So one size all does not work even for an individual. How can it work for different cities all over the world? So the latest is the 15th Finance Commission has launched the Urban Flood Risk Management Program. And yesterday only, Shri Amit Shah announced the funding for the cities. So this is aimed at reducing the risk of urban flooding in 7 most populous cities: Ahmedabad, Bangalore, Chennai, Hyderabad, Kolkata, Mumbai, and Pune. Second phase, 11 tier 2 cities are there. Bhopal is also included. So for the past 2 years, we have been evaluating each of these proposals. I am on the committee. And each of the tier 2 cities will be getting around 200 crores for the urban flood risk mitigation program. So the way it went is, first the city sent a plan, we reviewed that. Again they sent a plan that was presented by the commissioner. Again we made suggestions, then it was presented to the Home Secretary and the panel from Niti Aayog and the Finance Ministry. After that, all the proposals are collected together, and 3 days back, Shri Amit Shah announced the funds to the cities. I have sent the clip, kindly share it with the audience. So this is the latest status for the cities. The third phase, proposals have been invited from Mumbai, Ahmedabad and Delhi, about 10,000 crores. So they have given the first round. We have given the feedback to them. So hopefully, through a couple of iterations, it should improve. But the crux of the issue is the implementation on the ground. That is where the major challenge is. So the actual implementation should be on the engineers and the local authorities to see that the works are done as per the specifications, which is the biggest challenge. And we all have seen that, unfortunately, these measures are contractor driven. So first round of projects which were submitted had 80% concreting. Emphasis here is that you should have at least 50% nature-based solutions. Restore the nature. So we have been trying to get them to revise the proposal so that they have at least 50% nature-based solutions. Restoration of the water bodies, restoration of the lost water bodies which have been lost to development. Then non-structural measures, we have also said they should carry out a hazard risk and vulnerability analysis similar to what I have shown to you for Mumbai. Simulation will tell us what will be the scenario, but we have had so much flooding, so much rainfall, we already know which are the areas at risk. We already know the chronic flooding spots. So we have said that why do you want to prepare a plan for the entire city? First you address the chronic flooding spots. emergency operation center should be set up for each of the cities, not only for flooding, for other disasters also, and prepare a city drainage plan. Then another interesting feature away, so whenever we have a river, we want to construct a road, we just put 2 pipes and take the road across. But this has the effect that we are reducing the size of the passage for the water. So as you can see in the next figure, this is how it should be done. Instead of putting pipes, we have to take our artists, maintain the width of the river. But this is what we do. So we have reduced the flow of water to half, and that is why many of the bridges that you see washed across, they are blocking the path of the water. So think like a river, don't think like a road. We have to put our, as the saying goes, we teach in management, put yourself in the other person's shoes. So we should think like, what is the water? Nature is supreme. We cannot go against it. So the take-home message is, we have seen, we now have to plan for higher values of rainfall. There is no other option. 100 millimeters per hour has become the norm. What I have not mentioned is thunderstorms. Thunderstorms I have been monitoring for the past 15-20 years. They can occur anywhere. Urban heat island is one of the causes for formation of thunderstorms. And it can form anywhere, any moment, and thunderstorm can give 70 millimeters per hour of rainfall, 100 millimeters per hour of rainfall. And it is very localized. And one flood incident can cause crores of damages. So cost of doing versus cost of not doing. I think 2-3 years back, the Bangalore CEOs, all of them got flooded because the builder made very nice apartments, but there was no drainage. So we have to think for the path of water. Imagine we are building a house, there are no outlets for the kitchen sink and the bathroom. What will happen? House will get flooded. That is what is happening at the city level. The drainage outlets are not being planned. The ones which are exist, unfortunately, are getting blocked. So plan for higher amount of rainfall. They should be part of the planning process. And we have already worked the NDMA Urban Flood Disaster Management Guidelines. They are available on the NDMA website. Anybody can download them. The total information is there. It took us 3 years. We conducted workshops in many of the major cities over 3 years. And subsequently, we chased the ministry and they brought out the dedicated storm drainage manual. Earlier, it had just 20 pages in the serious manual on storm drainage. Now, there is a full dedicated manual on storm drainage, and this is also available on the websites. Unfortunately, when I have conducted some presentations like this at various platforms, many of the engineers and planners are not aware that these guidelines are existing. So I would request all of you to tell your engineers and planners and architects that the guidelines are there, a lot of work has been done. They should at least go through them and see the measures that are possible. Otherwise, enjoy the flooding. Thank you.
सेंटर के तत्वावधान में आयोजित आज इसमें महेश बुच मेमोरियल व्याख्यान माला के जो मुख्य वक्ता आदरणीय प्रोफेसर डॉक्टर गुप्ता, संस्था के अध्यक्ष आदरणीय पी.के. दास सर, सभी हमारे जो सामने बैठे हैं, सबसे हमने सीखा है। तो सभी हमारे सीनियर्स, सभी विद्वान उपस्थित श्रोतागण और यहाँ पे कुछ स्टूडेंट्स भी नजर आ रहे हैं, सभी साथियों मित्रों, मध्य प्रदेश जब एक था, छत्तीसगढ़ अलग नहीं था, तो एक साहित्यकार हुए हैं पद्मलाल पुन्नालाल बख्शी। मैं बनारस का रहने वाला हूँ लेकिन पढ़ा हूँ। उन्होंने एक निबंध लिखा था, क्या लिखूं। तो आज इतने लोगों के बीच में प्रोफेसर गुप्ता के इस जो टेक्निकल हाईली टेक्निकल सेशन है, जो आईआईटी के प्रोफेसर हैं, पढ़े लिखे हैं, मैं भी पढ़ा हूँ, लेकिन हम अब सरकारी व्यवस्था में आकर के हमारी विचारधारा थोड़ी अलग है। सर, मुझे ये लगता है कि मैं क्या कहूँ, लेकिन कुछ कहना पड़ेगा। अध्यक्ष उद्बोधन है, संपादक को संपादकीय लिखना पड़ता है, अध्यक्ष को कुछ बोलना पड़ेगा। श्रद्धेय बुच साहब को सर्वप्रथम मैं नमन करता हूँ और अपनी 2-3 बातें रखूंगा और जो आपने कहा है उसके बारे में भी अपना जो अनुभव रहा है, क्योंकि करीब 8.5 साल मैं अर्बन सेक्टर में रहा हूँ, 3.5 साल के लगभग, 3.25 साल कमिश्नर टाउन कंट्री प्लानिंग रहा, 3.5 साल कमिश्नर अर्बन डेवलपमेंट रहा हूँ, 2 साल पीएस हाउसिंग एनवायरनमेंट और 2 साल के लगभग पीएस अर्बन डेवलपमेंट रहा, 4 साल लगभग वाटर सेक्टर में रहा हूँ, इरिगेशन और एनवीडीए में। तो पानी की बातें, कुछ बात जो सर ने कही है, छोटी सी बातें, 2-3 पॉइंट बस बोलूँगा, क्योंकि जो मैं तैयारी किया था वो आपने सब बताया। बुच साहब के बारे में ही पहले शुरू करूंगा। एक विलक्षण व्यक्तित्व के धनी व्यक्ति थे। मैं यहाँ 2004 में सर ही ने, परशुराम सर ने कहा कमिश्नर टाउन कंट्री प्लानिंग का भी चार्ज तुम ले लो, डायरेक्टर मैडम के यहाँ था, वहाँ भारती जी के यहाँ पीएस थे, मैं वहाँ पे एडिशनल सेक्रेटरी। जिस दिन मैं ज्वाइन किया दूसरे दिन ही उनका फोन आ गया, कहाँ हो? मैं कहा सर मैं हाजिर होता हूँ, इसी E4 में उनके घर पे गया। बाहर उन्होंने खुद चाय बनाई, चाय पिलाई, बैठाया, बात की, कुछ चर्चा हुई। जो मेरा पहला अनुभव था उसको बताऊंगा। वह एक उत्कृष्ट प्रशासक ही नहीं थे, बल्कि उनकी निर्णय की निर्भीकता, प्रशासनिक पारदर्शिता और विचारों की सुस्पष्टता जो थी, वह उसके मानक थे, प्रतिमूर्ति थे, प्रतिमान थे। नहीं, अधिकतर ब्यूरोक्रेट डरते हैं। हम लोग अपना भला बुरा भविष्य की सोच के बाद बड़ा नाप जोक करके, नाप तोल के करते हैं, और जो मास्टर को अच्छा लगता है कुछ घुमा फिरा के उसी के नजदीक अपनी बात रखते हैं। वह पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन के तो महारत थे ही उनके विभिन्न क्षेत्रों के, लेकिन इन्वायरमेंट, अर्बन प्लानिंग, अर्बन डिजाइन, अर्बन डेवलपमेंट, हाउसिंग, इसको तो हमेशा पहनते ओढ़ते बिछाते थे साहित्यिक भाषा में। कभी भी किसी भी समय जो दबंगई के साथ बात करते थे, चूंकि मैं लंबे समय तक रहा तो इंटरेक्शन भी लंबा था, कम से कम 50 बार 60 बार बुलाया गया होऊंगा, और चूंकि अर्बन डेवलपमेंट में लंबा समय तक था तो उनसे सीखने भी जाता था, उसका सुनना के लिए भी जाना पड़ता था। जो उनके ऑब्जर्वेशन, चाहे इंदौर के मास्टर प्लान हो, भोपाल के हो, नई बिल्डिंग्स आती रही हो। मैं अभी प्रोफेसर गुप्ता सर से बात कर रहा था, एक बिल्डिंग यहीं कोने पे आ रही थी, इसी बांसखेड़ी के आगे में कमिश्नर टाउन कंट्री प्लानिंग था, रेजिडेंशियल बिल्डिंग की परमिशन थी। उन्होंने पूछा उसमें खिड़की तो है ही नहीं, तो रेजिडेंशियल कैसे बिल्डिंग है? और मैं आपको दावे के साथ कहता हूँ उनके जीवन काल में वो बिल्डिंग नहीं बनी, आज एक बड़ी बिल्डिंग के रूप में बनी है। इस तरह की प्रशासनिक प्रखरता के साथ होते व्यक्ति जो कि एकदम अंत तक, लॉजिकल एंड तक सॉल्यूशन ले जाते थे, तो उनको नमन करता हूं। और फिर अपनी बात उन्होंने एक और बात कही थी कि यदि तुमने किसी दबाव में या किसी एक्शन या ओमिशन से कोई गलत निर्माण हो गया, तो जब तक जिंदा रहोगे वह आजीवन तुम्हें सालता रहे, क्योंकि जब भी कभी साक्षात्कार परोक्ष या प्रत्यक्ष होगा वह निर्माण मुंह बिचकाएगा ही, वो तुम विचलित होगे, कष्ट झेलोगे। इसलिए जब भी कोई निर्णय लो तो आम पूरे शहर को देख करके निर्णय लेना हो। एक लिविंग एंटिटी है, ऐसा नहीं है कोई शहर एक कंक्रीट का, सड़कों के जाल का, या सफाई की व्यवस्था का, या सैलो ड्रेन्स पेवमेंट के किनारे बने, बल्कि वह एक लिविंग एंटिटी है। जिस दिन जाओगे वो तुम्हें छोड़ेगा नहीं, तुम्हारी आत्मा कचोटती रहेगी। इसलिए पूरे जनहित में, शहर हित में ही निर्माण के निर्णय लेना। ये एक बहुत ही ऐसी बात थी जो अभी आज तक याद है मुझे। वो आज चूँकि एक पीढ़ी का गैप था, वो पिता तुल्य थे उम्र के हिसाब से, और उनके जो कुछ हमने करीब ज़्यादा नहीं, लेकिन हाँ 30-40 घंटे तो उनके साथ इंटरेक्ट किया होऊंगा, 50 घंटे। चाहे वो भोपाल का मास्टर प्लान रहा हो, इंदौर का मास्टर प्लान रहा हो, पहले जाते ही डांट खानी पड़ती थी, उसके बाद बात शुरू होती थी। तो वो वो जो उन्होंने कहा था वही स्थिति सर स्टॉर्म वाटर ड्रेन के साथ हुआ है, वही स्थिति अर्बन फ्लडिंग के साथ हुआ है, वही कष्ट दे रहा है, विचलित कर रहा है। हमारे निर्णय गलत हुए हैं। क्लाइमेट चेंज ने उसे और विद्रूप बना दिया और घटिया स्थिति में पहुंचा दिया। लाचारी और लालच, लाचारी गरीबों की और लालच समर्थ लोगों की, उसको अत्यंत भयावह बना दिया। मैं चूंकि टेक्निकल एस्पेक्ट सर ने बोला है तो मैं थोड़ा सा अपनी बात को शब्दों में साहित्यिक तरीके से ही कर रहा हूँ। क्लाइमेट चेंज से सर आपने बताया कि टेम्परेचर बढ़ा, बारिश हुआ, बारिश बढ़ी, नॉर्मल रेनफॉल हुआ, सारी बातें आई हैं, सब आपने कहा है। 19 से 22 के दौरान 19 में यहाँ पे बाढ़ तेज आई थी, मनसुआ गांधी सागर हिलोरे ले रहा था। और यदि गांधी सागर टूटता है तो मुझे नहीं लगता पटना या फरक्का टूट करके पूरा समुद्र तक ही पानी जाएगा। करीब 7,000 मिलियन क्यूबिक मीटर पानी है। कल्पना नहीं कर सकते कि चंबल, जमुना और गंगा को लेकर के नीचे के शहरों की क्या हालत होगी। आपके इलाहाबाद, बनारस, पटना, भागलपुर और नीचे तक क्या होगा। सर वो हिल रहा था। सर उसकी वजह क्या थी? आपने यहाँ पे आंकड़े बारिश के बताए, हम लोगों ने ऑब्जर्व किया इरिगेशन में भी आने के बाद 22 में भी। ऐसे शिवपुर कलाव, शिवपुरी में सर 130 मिलीमीटर पर आवर की रेन हुई। सर इंच में बारिश नहीं हुई, फीट में बारिश हुई। 2 फीट पानी गिरा सर, 2 फीट 565 mm पानी शिवपुरी और शिवपुर में गिरा। और एक बादल ऐसा डेरा डाला जो 8 दिन तक सर 22 में वहीं पे रहा। करीब 300-400 स्क्वायर किलोमीटर के ऊपर ही मरता था। आई डोंट नो इस तरह सिस्टम किस तरह हो रहा है, किस तरह क्लाइमेट चेंज हो रहा है। सर लोग तो पूरे देखे, हमने तो अभी देखा, हमने भी शुरुआती दौर में देखा, चाहे विंध्य प्रदेश रहा, बुंदेलखंड रहा, चंबल रहा, ग्वालियर रहा, हमेशा सूखा। अब सर 1200, 1300, 1400 मिलीमीटर बारिश हो रही पिछले 4 साल से सर इतनी बारिश हो रही। 1300 से यहाँ पे 2006 में एक दिन बारिश हुई थी सर 400 mm, तो पूरा भोपाल में हाहाकार मच गया था। अगस्त की बात है, 12-13 अगस्त था। मैं उस समय कमिश्नर टाउन कंट्री प्लानिंग में था। इन परिस्थितियों में, इस चीजों में जो फिट में बारिश हुई है सर, ये ड्रेनेज सिस्टम के जो डिजाइन पैरामीटर ध्वस्त हो। देश में यदि हम लोग पढ़ते थे सर, आप हाइड्रोलिक्स के हैं, हम भी हाइड्रोलिक्स बीटेक में पढ़े हैं, बाद में तो मैं स्ट्रक्चरल इंजीनियर हूँ बाय प्रोफेशन। सर मैक्सिमम मैनुअल 80 मिलीमीटर पर आवर पे रूरल एरिया में क्रॉस ड्रेनेज वर्क बनते हैं, पुल बनता है, पुलिया बनता है। 120 मिलीमीटर आवर का बना पूरे ग्वालियर, शिवपुरी, दतिया, ग्वालियर, शिवपुर कलम, सर सारे पुल टूट गए। जिस तरह दोबारा होता है तो हम क्या करेंगे, आई डोंट नो। रूरल एरिया में सर शहरों को सर आइसोलेट करके ग्रामीण क्षेत्रों से हम अर्बन फ्लडिंग को नहीं देख सकते। लोकलाइज स्थिति में थोड़ा सा देख सकते हैं, प्लान कर सकते हैं। बम्बई जैसे शहर सर बहुत बड़े हैं, आपने कहा, वो तो पूरा ऑस्ट्रेलिया के बराबर जनसंख्या है सर, उसकी उतने लोगों को एड्रेस कर। लेकिन जब हम अपने यहाँ की चीजें देखते हैं, जैसे होशंगाबाद में बाढ़ आती है सर, बरगी का पानी छूटता है, 36 घंटे में आता है, 6 घंटे तवा का पानी लगता है, बाढ़ना का 2 लगता है। जब तीनों भरते हैं तो हाइड्रोग्राफ 3 गुना होता है, कुछ कर ही नहीं सकते। क्या करें उस होशंगाबाद के लिए? उस समय हाथ पांव फूलते हैं। केवल रेगुलेट कर सकते हैं यदि कॉमन सेंस प्रिवेल करता है। स्टार्म का मूवमेंट एलांग नर्मदा हुआ, अभी सर 23 में हुआ था। ये चला अमरकंटक से जैसे जैसे पानी बढ़ा वैसे वैसे तूफान बढ़ा और जा करके पूरा भरूच को डुबो दिया। सरदार सरोवर का पानी सर हमारे ओंकारेश्वर तक पूरा रिवर, इतना सर सोचा भी नहीं था जब सरदार सरोवर की डिजाइन हुई थी, इतने गांव थे। इन परिस्थितियों में सर जो हमें पूरा का पूरा ये चीजें देखनी है, अर्बन फ्लड की स्थिति में जो आपने बताया है, जो चीजें कही है, सरफेस रन ऑफ सर हम लोगों ने किताबों में पढ़ा था, अभी इंजीनियरिंग डिजाइन में भी रहा, तो 50-60% सरफेस रन ऑफ लेकर के हम स्ट्रक्चर डिजाइन करते थे। 100 मिलीमीटर पानी होगा तो 50 जमीन में धरती माता जाएगी, नीचे की पाताल गंगा में जाएगा, सब सरफेस रिजर्व में होगा, 50% ऊपर बहेगा। सर हमने खूब पक्का अपने उस लालच के चक्कर में खूब पक्का किया। जिस आदमी को जो थोड़ा सा पैसा होता है तो वो सोचता है सब पक्का कर दो, सब पक्का हो गया। पक्का हो गया तो सर 80% 75% रन ऑफ जनरेट हो रहा। बारिश 80 के लिए पीक के लिए कहे, आपने कहा 50 mm और 25 mm के लिए डिजाइन करते थे सर, 120-130 मिलीमीटर हो। अब तो डिजाइन पैरामीटर्स को हमें तुरंत रिवाइज करना पड़ेगा। कास्ट इकोनॉमिक्स इज अनदर फैक्टर। पैसा कहाँ से आएगा अर्बन डिजाइन में, वो हमें सोचना पड़ेगा कि सेस लगाना पड़ेगा। सफाई के लिए सेस लगा रहे हैं, पानी के लिए बढ़ाने के ले रहे हैं। मध्य प्रदेश सरकार अभी हमने पढ़ा 25% पर एनम बढ़ाने के लिए इस तरह के पानी सफाई के लिए किया है। तो हमें स्टॉर्म वाटर ड्रेनेज सिस्टम के लिए, जिसकी कल्पना ही नहीं थी, क्योंकि लाखों बरस से हजारों बरस से नेचुरल ड्रेनेज लाइंस थी, उससे पानी बह जाता था। तो सबसे अच्छा रास्ता है जो ज्यादा प्रॉफिट के चक्कर में हम उसी एरिया को खरीदते हैं, सबसे पहले वही निर्माण कर रहे हैं। और जैसा आपने बताया चौड़ाई ज्यादा थी, वाइड को जो है सकराकरण, सारे नालों पे सड़क बन गए, क्योंकि हमारी आर्टरी चौक हो रही थी ट्रांसपोर्ट नेटवर्क। तो उसको बढ़ाने के लिए, जल्दी पहुंचने के लिए, सेंट्रल बिजनेस डिस्ट्रिक्ट पहुंचने के लिए, रेजिडेंशियल एरियाज दूर हुए, हमने अपने स्वार्थ में सारी सड़कें बना दी। पानी जाएगा कहाँ, कहीं न कहीं तो फैलेगा, वो स्थिति हो रही है। तो ये डिजाइन पैरामीटर्स के बारे में भी हमें सोचना पड़ेगा सर। इसके बारे में पता नहीं, आप लोग मिलते रहते हैं, जो मैनुअल्स हैं, जो कोड हैं, उनको भविष्य की चिंता को करना पड़ेगा। और इसलिए करना पड़ेगा सर, वर्ल्ड बैंक की रिपोर्ट जब हम लोग नौकरी शुरू किए थे तो सबसे नाभिकीय युद्ध बोलते थे न्यूक्लियर वार और जनसंख्या का विस्फोट, दो चैलेंज हो। अब जनसंख्या 145 करोड़ हो गई सर, जो अभी नेट फर्टिलिटी रेट हैज कम डाउन टू 1.9 एज पर द लेटेस्ट वर्ल्ड बैंक रिपोर्ट। अर्लियर इट वाज 2.1 पे स्टैग्नेंट हो जाती है। हमारी थोड़ी यंगर पॉपुलेशन है तो कहीं 165-70 करोड़ पे स्टेबलाइज होंगे। अर्बनाइजेशन बढ़ेगा, 50% 60% जाएगा। तो अब हमें कम से कम एक चीज पता है, कितने आदमी को पानी देना है, कितने को घर देना है। 165 करोड़ को अन्न इतना हम उत्पादन कर ही रहे हैं। यदि इस तरह के हाउसिंग के अर्बन माइग्रेशन को, वही मैं कह रहा था, पॉवर्टी वाले इशू इंपॉर्टेंट रहा सर। ये माइग्रेशन से उपजा दर्द ज्यादा है, पॉवर्टी की प्लानिंग गड़बड़ रही। जो माइग्रेट किए हैं लोग, जो है छोटी जगहों से रोजगार की तलाश में शहरों में आए, हाउसिंग की समस्या हुई, साइंटिस्ट बने, उनको करने के लिए छोटे छोटे LIG और इकोनॉमिकल सेक्शन के लिए बिल्डर्स ने घर ताने, खुले जगहों पे, पब्लिक प्लेसेस पे, नालों के किनारे, ड्रेन पे घर बनाए। वह भी एक अर्बन फ्लडिंग का कारण बन रहा है। तो पॉवर्टी प्लानिंग, इक्विटी के इश्यूज को भी सर एड्रेस करना पड़ेगा। इसे आइसोलेशन में हम लोग नहीं कर, चूंकि आपका टेक्निकल एस्पेक्ट था, हम उसको थोड़ा सा, जो आपने इम्प्लीमेंटेशन की बात कही है, उस एंगल से कह रहे हैं कि ये नेचुरल रीजंस, नेचुरल कारण हो सकते हैं। इस तरह की क्लाइमेट चेंज है, इंटेंसिटी बहुत हैवी है, सारी चीजें हैं, लेकिन मैन मेड रीजंस ज्यादा जिम्मेदार हैं इन सारी चीजें। क्योंकि बारिश सर पहले भी ऐसी कभी कभी होती रही, हम लोगों ने देखा है। हो सकता है 10 साल में एक बार होती थी, अब ये है कि हर साल ही 2-3 बार हो रहा है। मैंने अभी बोला, मैं रहने वाला बनारस का हूँ, बनारस का और इलाहाबाद के, दोनों जगह 5 बार गंगा ने डुबोया है 6-6 लाख पॉपुलेशन को। कितनी पूरे जीवन भर की पूंजी सर चली गई, एक दिन में उनके सारे के सारे चीजें बह गया है। उस कास्ट इकोनॉमी, उस लॉस को जोड़ करके हम कहाँ खड़े हैं। इन ड्रेनेज पैटर्न को किस तरह से वास बना से, स्ट्रक्चरल इंटरवेंशन की जो ढेर सारी बातें आपने कही हैं, उनको जो आपने बहुत सारी इशूज सर, टैंक पंप सम्प के सिस्टम की बात कही है। हम लोग अभी सम्प पंप टैंक की बात कर, सर ने सिखाया था कि अब हर घर में एक सम्प है, उसमें एक पंप लगा है और हम लोग सुबह चला के करते हैं, सीधा पानी तो पहुंचता नहीं है घरों में। तो ये उसका उल्टा स्थिति निर्मित हो रही कि अब हमें हो सकता है पंप से सम्प में ले जाना पड़े टैंक को बना करके। तो उसकी आपने चर्चा की सर, आपने एयरपोर्ट्स, ट्रांसपोर्ट नेटवर्क की बात की, कैपेसिटी के डिजाइन की। हमने बोला ही सर 2 गुना लेना पड़ेगा, अब 1.5 गुने में तो चलना नहीं सर, 2 गुना बनाना पड़ेगा, नीचे बनाना पड़ेगा। जो आपने होल्डिंग वाटर होल्डिंग पॉन्ड्स की बात कही है सर, डायमंड ब्रिक शेप के पेवमेंट की और इन्फिल्ट्रेशन ट्रेंचेज की बात की और रूफ वाटर हार्वेस्टिंग की बात की। ये सब चीजें केवल कहने में अच्छा लगता है। चांदनी उस रुपए सी है जिसमें चमक है पर खनक गायब है। लिखने में बड़ी अच्छी लगती है लेकिन उसमें आवाज नहीं है। अब तो हमें ऐसी चांदनी चाहिए जिसमें चमक और खनक दोनों, पॉलिसी बने, वो प्लान बने तो उसके लिए पैसा भी हो, बजट भी हो, जमीन पे उतरे, इस सब की चिंता होनी चाहिए। अभी कोई ये कह सकता है जब तक सरकार में थे 35 साल तब तो आवाज नहीं निकली, अब निकल रही, निकलती थी, आवाज निकलती थी लेकिन मर्यादा में निकलती थी, अभी भी मर्यादा में ही निकल रही है। मैं तो केवल रास्ते भी सुझा रहा हूँ, सेस लगना चाहिए। यदि हम साल भर में पानी का दे रहे हैं 180 रुपए, 200 300 तो ठीक है, 20 रुपए स्टॉर्म वाटर ड्रेन के लिए भी देगा, इतना बड़ा शहर है, इंटीग्रेटेड टैक्स दे रहे हैं, फायर के लिए दे रहे हैं, सफाई के लिए दे रहे हैं। यदि घर को सुरक्षित रखना है, वैसे भी जो आदमी शरीर से कमजोर होता है उसी को जाड़ा लगता है, उसको गर्मी लगती है, उसी को बरसात परेशान करती है। जो गरीब आदमी होता है वो नीचे खाले बसता है, और जब वो नीचे खाले बसता है तो वही गर्मी के मार सहता है, वही बारिश की मार और फ्लड की सहता है, वही जो है सभी ऋतुओं की मार झेलता है। तो यदि उसके साथ भी न्याय करना है, पॉवर्टी एलिवेशन के जो अर्बन पॉवर्टी के इश्यूज हैं उनमें इन इश्यूज को प्राथमिकता देनी पड़ेगी। हो सकता है नॉन लैप्सेबल फंड बनाना पड़े बजट में, करी और करें। स्टॉर्म वाटर ड्रेन को यदि एड्रेस करना है इन बड़े मिलियन प्लस शहरों में, ये समस्या नहीं है सर, ये मेट्रोपॉलिटन 7 शहर नहीं बचा 8 का, या मिलियन प्लस की समस्या नहीं बनी है, तो हर गांव, कूचे और छोटे नगर परिषद तक की ये प्रॉब्लम आई है जिसको हमें एड्रेस करना पड़ेगा। सर पॉवर्टी के माइग्रेशन, हाउसिंग की जो बात की, इंक्रोचमेंट हटाने पड़ेंगे सर, डीसिल्टिंग में सख्ती से हटाने पड़ेंगे। हम सड़क बना रहे हैं, करें, जो नदियों जा रहे हैं ना घर बना के दें, जिस तरह से आपकी स्थितियां आ रही हैं। अदरवाइज तो ये बारिश और किस दिशा में जाएगी मुझे नहीं पता। 5-6 साल में, 8 साल में जिस तरह के परिवर्तन हो रहे हैं, इंदौर सर पूरा अगस्त में डिफिसिट रहा है 40% रेनफॉल में, और सितंबर महीने में पूरा हो गया सर, एक दिन में फ्लडिंग हो गई पूरी 100% रेनफॉल। 20 से 30% लास्ट 5 साल के आंकड़े मध्य प्रदेश के सर पूर्वी पश्चिमी भाग में बारिश ज्यादा हो रही नॉर्मल से। इन परिस्थितियों में हमें अपने पॉलिसी मेकर्स को देखना पड़ेगा कि इन चीज को कैसे एड्रेस करते हैं। जो लेक का शहर है भोपाल, इसलिए लेक एक स्टोरेज, जो कुछ भी आपने कहा, एक स्पेस देती थी, टाइम निर्णय लेने की क्षमता देती थी, आदमी को सशक्त करता था, नागरिकों को, प्रशासकों को, उनका ध्यान हमें रखना है। अन्यथा हम कहीं के नहीं बचेंगे यदि सारी चीजें आई। ड्रेन्स में आपने देखा हो, कई ड्रेन्स में बीच में कंक्रीट की पाइप, फ्यूम पाइप खरीद करके लोग उसमें से ले जाते हैं, पता नहीं वो कहाँ से आया। हमने ने कभी पढ़ा था, सोचा उसके सेक्शन को भी रिड्यूस कर रहा है, दिक्कत हो तो अलग समस्या कर रहा है, स्टॉर्म वाटर ड्रेन नहीं। अब एक्चुअली स्टॉर्म वाटर ड्रेन का सर कॉन्सेप्ट ही नहीं था। JNNU शुरू हुए और अब अमृत में इस पे बातें शुरू हुई। अदरवाइज हमारे समझ से हम लोगों की परंपरा रही, संस्कृति रहा है कि वाटर बॉडी जो उन पे अतिक्रमण करना ही नहीं, गंदा नहीं करना, शायद यह कॉन्सेप्ट ही नहीं था इंडियन फिलॉसफी में, चीज ही नहीं था। लेकिन बाद में जिस तरह के डेवलपमेंट हुए, सारी बातें आई हैं। पोटेंशियल सॉल्यूशंस के बारे में सर आपने मॉडर्नाइजेशन ऑफ स्टॉर्म वाटर ड्रेन के नेटवर्क, डीसिल्टिंग, परमेएबल पेवमेंट्स, रेट्रोफिटिंग की, रिवाइटलाइजिंग वेटलैंड्स, इसकी वाटर होल्डिंग पॉन्ड्स, अंडरग्राउंड स्टोरेज टैंक्स, रूफ वाटर हार्वेस्टिंग, इन सब के बारे में। सॉलिड वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट सर, रेगुलेटरी मेजर पे प्लास्टिक बैन करना, प्लास्टिक से बहुत सारी जगह पे अनावश्यक बाढ़ की स्थिति आती है, उस पर देखना पड़ेगा। रेगुलेटरी मेजर्स में अर्बन प्लानर्स का बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट है। जो फ्लड प्लेन जोनिंग रही है, फ्लड प्लेन में करें, लेकिन इम्प्लीमेंटेशन पे 100 आदमी 50 आदमी नहीं, समुदाय को देखना पड़ेगा, समाज को आगे आना पड़ेगा, गलत को गलत बोलना पड़ेगा। यदि हम पानी में बचना चाहते हैं, यदि हम डरेंगे तो मरेंगे वाली बात है, डूबेंगे, डरेंगे तो डूबेंगे। हमें कम्युनिटी पार्टिसिपेट। एक चीज और मैं कहना चाहता हूँ, वादड़िया सुजादड़िया जब शरीरा नाव, किस भाषा का है मुझे नहीं पता, लेकिन मैं अपनी 12वीं 10वीं की हिंदी किताब में पढ़ता था। उसका बचपन के संस्कार शरीर के साथ जाते हैं। जब हम पैदा होते हैं माँ की कोख से, और जब अंतिम दाह संस्कार होता है, टम में जाते हैं, तब तक बचपन के संस्कार शरीर के साथ रहते हैं। तो हमें स्कूलों के करिकुलम में इस तरह के फ्लड और स्टॉर्म वाटर ड्रेन की बातों को रखना पड़ेगा सर। ये चीजें अर्बन फ्लडिंग के इश्यूज को, यह कोई मुश्किल काम नहीं है। रोड एक्सीडेंट को हमने रखा है, इसमें हमें जान गंवानी पड़ रही, क्लाउड बर्स्ट के इंसिडेंट्स हो रहे हैं, तो इन स्थितियों को भी स्कूल के एकेडमिक करिकुलम में भी इन बातों को डालना पड़ेगा। आपने बहुत अच्छा सर सारी चीजें किया है। मैं अच्छा लगता शायद 3-4 साल पहले मैं व्याख्यान आपका सुना होता तो कुछ कर भी पाता, लेकिन मैं सर से निवेदन करूंगा कि जो फाइंडिंग्स हैं, जो सजेशंस हैं, सरकार को जाननी चाहिए, क्योंकि सर बार बार हम ध्यान दिलाएंगे तो किसी न किसी की ध्यान तो जाएगा। इन इश्यूज को सर अभी शायद सोचा नहीं गया है, क्योंकि जब मैं एडीबी प्रोजेक्ट में सर उसी समय प्रोजेक्ट डायरेक्टर था तो ये पानी की बात शुरू हुई थी, और JNNURM में था तो पंचशील नाले और पात्रा नाले के 2 प्रोजेक्ट सैंक्शन हुए थे ड्रेनेज के इश्यूज पे। सर इन जो फाइंडिंग्स हैं, जो सजेशंस हैं, हमें अभी से तैयार रहना है सर। कैपिटल टाउन है भोपाल, इंदौर है, बड़ा शहर है, ग्वालियर और जबलपुर उज्जैन है, इन शहरों को तो अभी से तैयार होना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि यदि यहाँ ऐसी स्थितियाँ निर्मित होती हैं तो नुकसान की संभावनाएं, चाहे वह इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर का लॉस हो, चाहे प्रॉपर्टी का हो, चाहे आदमी की जिंदगी का हो, बढ़ जाता है। पुनः जो मुझे मौका दिया संस्था ने सर, मैं आपका आभारी हूँ। आपने अवसर दिया यहाँ पे। पहले मैं उस तरफ बैठता था एपेक्स बैंक, और इसमें अजय कटारिया साहब पकड़ के ले जाते थे मुझे। अब आज मैं इस साइड में बैठा हूँ, और ये इन चीज़ों को ये आता है सर, डॉक्यूमेंट को प्रॉपर तरीके से भेजा जाता है संस्था की ओर से, तो निश्चित रूप से इस पे मुझे पूरा विश्वास है कि सरकार ध्यान देगी। थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू।